A very good morning from my side. This is Nandan Singh from Edureka, and I'll be your trainer and instructor for this webinar. First of all, thanks for joining this webinar session. This session is about introduction of why we should use Selenium to find bugs and why we should opt this tool for a good career as a good career option for the automation industry. Okay, so before going that, we have almost 15 to 20 students in this webinar, so it's very hard to take the introduction from each one of you from your side. So let me introduce myself. I am Nandan Singh, and I have more than 7 years of experience in both development and automation, and I've used different automation tools like QTP, Selenium, JMeter, and SoapUI. So, between all those things, I like Selenium more because it's not a tool, it's an API. So if you are working on a Selenium, just like you are developing something. Okay, so this was about quick introduction of me, and if we're going forward, can I have a you guys are just freshers, or you guys are experienced, right? Can I have a simple word that experience or fresher from your side, quick, so that I can understand to who's okay. Varun is saying experience, Abhishek is saying experienced. I got 3 answers. Okay, 2 years of experience. Rohit, 14 experience. No one is fresher right now, right? Okay, thank you guys. So it means most of you are experienced in either in automation and manual. It may be possible that you guys on experience on manual, maximum of you, and some of you in experience on automation on different tools other than Selenium, right? So let's start. Let's start with the session, and we have quite a very small window to cover all those concepts, but I will try to cover as much as I can. Okay, guys. So let's start with the bug concept. We all know the bug concept because you all are experienced with having 2 or more than a year of on manual testing or QA part. So let's start. Why should we use Selenium to find $1 million bugs, right? And whenever I say $1 million bugs, it means the bug which cost around $1 million of revenue of a particular company, right? So before that, we know what is a bug. We all know what is bug. Can I get a very quick definition of what is bug? One line definition. Any one of you? What do you think? What is a bug? What is a software bug? One line definition. Anything? So that this is interactive. I haven't got any change from requirement. Okay, Jamin. Jamin saying it's a change from requirement. Okay, something not specified in the requirement. Okay, a requirement which doesn't work as expected. Okay, Ramanathan is saying. Okay, so all these 3 answer is the moving around requirement. Okay, deviation from requirement. Rohit is saying quite precise, and that's good. Deviation from expected behavior. Now, this is the answer which I'm actually expecting. Deviation from expected behavior. What is expected behavior, and how this will this is actually deviated. See, let's suppose I have, then let me take an example. Let's suppose I write an application which is nothing, very simple application which actually provides sum of 2 numbers, a plus b. Can we see, right? If I give a argument as a 2 and b as a 2, then it should give the answer as 4, right? But if it's not able to provide this 4 as an answer, if it provides 22 as an answer, then still the application is working, but the behavior is not what is expected, right? This is deviation. Deviation from expected behavior. This is a bug which have been introduced. Might be any of the reason. It can be from there's a poor design. It can be from poor logic. It can be anything. It is a very simple example of how what is bug. You guys all know. So this kind of work can impact your business revenue a lot, right? So we are starting with 3 important $1 million bugs which have actually impacted the business revenue more than $1 million, right? Let's start with the agenda of today's session. We will cover what is a $1 million bug. I assume you already got the picture of what is a $1 million bug. We will see three different examples of $1 million bug, and then we will see what is the impact of the $1 million bug on a particular reputation or revenue of a company. Then we will see what the best practices to avoid such a bug, right? And how Selenium comes in this picture, and how Selenium automation help us to find this kind of bugs, and how we can prepare ourselves for the future automation industry. So after this agenda, I'll show you the overall picture of automation, the overall picture of how we can migrate from manual testing to automation testing. So just be relaxed. This is not a technical class. I'm not going to cover any technical stuff for this, but this is about the theoretical class, and we'll take a lot of example. Okay. So let's start with the $1 million example. In between, if you guys have any question, any queries, then just write it down on the chat window. I will try to resolve or give the answer for the same at that instant of time. Okay. So what is a $1 million bug? We already know the definition. It can be a bug which took $1 million to get detected. It can be a bug which caused $1 million damage to business of the company. Similarly, it can be a bug which damage a company's reputation. It can be a bug which can be reported by a customer, not by your tester or internal team. It can be any one of these, right? The definition is not limited to a particular line. Definition can be extended depending upon the context of the bug, right? So it can be any one of this. If the bug, to summarize all this, if the bug is not detected by internal team of the software company, or the company which is developing the product, then that can be devastating to the revenue as well as the reputation of that company, right? So let me take three different examples of huge bugs which cause $1 million loss to the revenue of company. The very first bug is immigration backlog. Okay, I got one question. Can we say it high severity and high priority bug? Jamin say, see, high severity and high priority is a bit technical term which have been used in whenever you are doing a testing. But $1 million bug, when this bug comes out inside the product and reach to the customer, this severity terms and priority terms just which customer doesn't use, right? Only term which we are going to use once the bug release with the product is the loss to the company. If you are detecting this bug when developing your software, then it's good, severity and priority. But if it's out, if it's released with the product, then it's always lost to the revenue as well as the reputation of the company. Okay, Jamin, is that answer of your question, right? Okay, let me go forward. So very first bug, the $1 million bug is immigration backlog. What is immigration backlog? Immigration is the process. I guess you guys know what is immigration. When you want to live in a particular foreign country for permanent or for a very long time, then there is a sequence of processes in which you need to go through for immigration. So the system, this bug was introduced in the US, and the system that they have developed was incapable of dealing with the backlog. What is backlog? Backlog is kind of process or thing which introduced when you have a lot more application to process, but you don't have different authority or resources to complete those processes within time. So what will happen? There will be a backlog or a pile of application just stored there, and they actually need more time to process those applications, right? So there was a bug which have been introduced which was not capable to dealing with the backlog cases, which results in 29,000 application backlog, which means 29,000 application was still waiting to get a process, right? And due to this bug, the authorities were failed to locate more than 50,000 people. And when they resolved this and this issue, the overall cost, overall the loss for the company was up to $1.6 billion. It's a huge loss due to a single bug. Okay, and this bug became our $1 million bug. Let's move to the second example for the same, which is for the company Toyota. There was a model, Toyota company model, which is called hybrid Prius cars. You might guys have listened about this bug. It's a very famous bug. There was a glitch on the software of that model that while driving, while on the road, that bug potentially shut down the hybrid system. That may cause the life-threatening issue, right? So for preventing Toyota's reputation, what Toyota have done, Toyota recalled more than 1.9 million hybrid cars so that they can fix this issue for those individual cars. This will save the company's reputation, but affected the revenue loss more than $2 billion. They have actually recalled 130,000 hybrid cars from Europe, 7 lakh cars from North America, 9 lakh cars from Japan due to just a single glitch, software glitch. Okay, now you can understand how a severe bug can be when if it's released to the system, right? Okay, let's move the third important bug which caused $1 million loss is Amazon's e-commerce company Amazon. What happened actually? Due to this bug, the price of some product have been reduced from their original price to just a penny. So what happened? Product on sale for just 1 penny in Amazon marketplace. The customer just bought the but many picked the items expensive as the mobile phones for just 1 penny. Right? So what happened, in order to save company's reputation, they can't just say customer to get back our product, just return our product, but they actually absorb this loss, which is around $100,000 just due to one bug. These are the examples of 3 different $1 million bugs which actually affected the company's reputation as well as revenue. So you can take these ideas how important it is to remove the bug. If the bug is released along with the software, then it can be a very severe, it can be a very huge impact on the company's reputation. Okay, this actually example of $1 million bugs. Let's move forward and see what are different reasons so that these bugs just introduce in our application softwares, right? You might be here, okay? Maheshwaran is saying perfect. Thank you, Maheshwaran. Okay, this can be, these reasons can be a different reason. These reasons can be those by which a bug is introduced or creep in our application. It can be a human factor, it can be a communication failure. When I say communication failure, it can be a requirement communication failure as well. It can be an unrealistic development time frame, like you might felt already this problem that I got another question. So these are different. Okay, one more. Switchable, Lavanya is saying. So these are different reasons by which a particular bug can be introduced in our system. Okay, so the third reason was unrealistic development time frame. It may be possible due to very tough deadline. Project stakeholders provide unrealistic time frame to develop the product, which actually force our developers to complete the project and without taking care of the quality of the product. It may then this can also be it's actually the very important reason by which a bug is introduced in the applications. Okay, the fourth reason is poor design logic, poor coding practices, lack of version controlling. Poor design logic, we know what is design logic. If the design logic is not good, it's a very old reason. Poor coding practices means if we are not following the standard protocols to write the code, standard practice to write the code, then that can lead to different bugs as well. Okay. Third reason is the lack of version control. You might not hear this term version controlling. Version controlling is a way by which you actually create the version for each builds. So if there is a bug in build 2, then you can roll back to the build 1. without any problem. There are a lot more tools which actually provide your version controlling. So it is very good practice to use version controlling. If you are not using version controlling, the developer is not using the version controlling, then what it means, whenever there is a bug in the last build and you don't have any option to go back to the previous build, then you have to resolve the bug as soon as possible, right? Seventh reason is buggy third-party tools. Without ensuring how bug-free the third-party tool is, if we use that tool in our software, in our application, then it might be possible that that bug is not in our application, but due to the third-party tool, it have been introduced, right? Important reason is lack of skilled testing. You had developed the software, but the responsibility of removing the bugs is on QA person, QA guys. So if the person is not skilled, then it may be possible those bugs just skipped or missed by the QA person and get introduced and get released along with the project. Okay. And the last reason is it can be a last minute change, right? So it means we are ready to release our product to the production, and in the last minute change our product manager is saying, oh god, I missed a change and I missed a requirement, you guys have to build today itself. This kind of things actually introduced and we haven't got any further time for testing. This kind of thing can introduce a lot more bugs in your application. Okay, hope these points are clear to you guys. If you guys feel some point is not clear, then please let me know at that instant. Okay, these are the major reasons by which bugs are just introduced in our system. Let's move forward. And what is the impact of these bugs? We have already seen this $1 million impact on business revenue as well as business reputation. I got a query. How we can identify SQA to be scaled? What is the minimum requirement? Jamin is saying, asking this question. Identifying QA scale is very tough, to be honest, because development you can use different logic and different principles, but in the QA there's no principle, no standard. It's about the experience only. So what actually happened, at the time of interview, only a skilled person can recognize the candidate is skilled or not. The minimum requirement, your second question is, what is the minimum requirement? There's no minimum requirement. You must have the attitude of finding bugs, of cracking the system. This is the minimum requirement. Rest of them can be learned while doing testing, right? There's no minimum requirement of software testing until unless you are doing automation. For the automation part, you have some requirement like you should know programming skills like Java or some other codes and different tools which have been used by the company. But for as a QA, the minimum requirement is the only attitude of cracking the system. Okay, Jamin? Hope this is the answer of your question. Impacts. Welcome, Jamin. So, what are different impacts of these bugs over our system? First one is the huge monetary loss. We have seen 3 different $1 million bugs. Damage to brand reputation. If you have a bug which is very severe, then obviously it will affect your reputation. Employee dissatisfaction, shutdown of a particular service of company, customer dissatisfaction. It may also lead to legal issues as well. So these are different impacts of a bug if it released along with your product. Okay, it's a very simple issue where I can assume that you guys already know this kind of impacts because it's a very common thing. Okay, let's move forward and let's see what are different best practices to avoid bugs. Okay, this some practice is for the developer and some practice is for testers. The very first thing is for the developer: avoid fancy coding and follow standard. Fancy coding is about if each one of the developers start writing code as per their own way of writing code, then it's very hard to merge all codes and to review the code which have been written by a particular code, right? Instead of this, if we follow a particular standard, then it will be very easy to merge codes as well as to review whatever we have written there, right? Second best practice is to use available libraries. By here, available libraries, I mean the library which comes along with your different software package. For example, if you are using Java libraries, and instead of you creating your own library, it's try to use the libraries which comes along with Java or other different tools, right? Instead of creating your own. For existing code, learn how to refactor. You might not hear this term refactor. The refactor is the word is to, instead of changing the signature of the method or behavior, you are actually changing the definition of the behavior, right? So what will happen if you refactor your code? By refactoring, you are not actually breaking some other's code. You are actually changing only the behavior. The only signature remains the same. So the code remains the same, but behavior it changes a bit. So instead of changing entire code, we should learn how to refactor our code. The fourth is, don't do anything too quickly. It's obvious that there is a tough deadline, but okay, I got another question. Once again, Vamsi, refactoring. Vamsi asking refactoring once again. Okay, let me take the example of refactoring. Let's suppose in very low level example, I'm taking low level example. Let's suppose you have created a method 1. I'm giving the example in Java. Let's suppose this is method 1, which is returning integer, and the name is get sum. It is using two numbers, integer a, integer num1, and integer num2. Okay, and what is this method is going to do? This method is actually taking creating another variable which is called a, and first saving this one, and creating another variable which is b, and saving this num2 in this one, and then creating another a variable which is result, and saving a plus b to this one, and then finally returning their sum as this. Okay, this is the method which have been created by a particular developer. So what's the output of this method is always sum of these two numbers. So method 1 will always provide sum of two numbers. Okay. Now you have created this method, and now another lead developer actually reviewed your code, and after reviewing, he's saying it's good that you are actually returning some of the two numbers good, but whatever the way you have written your code is not good. You are initializing two different variables without, this is not necessary. You should refactor your code, refactor your method, and eliminate two unnecessary variables. So what will happen? The actual behavior should remain the same. Now this method 1, this method 1.1 should remain same, like it should return sum of two numbers, but here I am refactoring in this way. But how I am refactoring? Its signature should remain the same, right? And it still take two numbers, num1 and num2. Instead of creating these two, I am creating a single integer, a single variable result, and I'm saving num1 and num2 directly. So what's the difference between these two methods? These two methods is same, their result will be same, but inside the definition is actually changed. So I reduced these two variables and created only single one, but their result will always remain the same. This is called refactorization. You are actually refactoring your code so that some other's code will not be changed. This is the answer to your question, which is called refactorization. Vamsi, is it clear now? Can I get a confirmation from your side? Okay, Vamsi, thank you. Welcome, Vamsi. So let's move forward. So learn how to refactor. I'll show you different other techniques to refactor a code, and refactoring is an art. It comes with time. It cannot be learned in the very first day. It comes with time. Don't do anything too quickly. Okay, so saying now the thing which comes is about testing. Follow test-driven development approach. You might hear this word test-driven development. What is test-driven development? Can I get any answer? Can I get answer? Anyone of you knows what is test-driven development? A single line example. Testing will be involved. Zaman is saying testing will be involved from development. That's correct, Zaman. Meshwaran is saying coding developed based on test cases. Based on test cases is okay, somehow true. Ashish Ahuja is saying code is written to pass the test. Yep. First preparing test and then develop. That's Vamsi. That's domain driven. Okay, not domain driven. This is called, it's a different technique. Test driven is different. From test case point of view, testing is along with development. Lavan is saying that's correct. So what is test driven development? Let me show you. Let me write the same thing. In test driven development, which is called TDD, there is another term called BDD, which is called behavior driven development. Right. So we are actually discussing not BDD, we are discussing about TDD, test driven development. In test-driven development, whenever we write our code, we actually write test cases corresponding our code. So there are two different ways to ensure that you are following TDD. First one is unit testing. This should be done by developer. So in short, they are called UT. They should write UTs. So for each piece of code, they should have unit testing covered. Right? Once the unit testing is completed and your product is developed, then you have functional test cases, or somehow some people say regression test cases or functional testing. This is actually a combination of all different behaviors, different modules, functional testing or regression testing. Okay, so if you are following these two techniques along with your development, you are actually doing test development, but BDD is different, right? So we are discussing here the test driven development approach, right? Unit test and integration test. Integration test, you can say, can be a functional, can be regression. So if you are following these two standards, this is the best practice to avoid bugs. Okay, after you write your test cases, there must be some peer review. Peer review is what? Peer review is when you are writing your test cases, it's nothing but the code, right? You are writing some codes. So once you write your codes, there should be some senior guy who should review your test cases so that no scenario have been missed by you, right? No one is perfect. It is very obvious. It may be possible that you guys or someone of you, maybe your lead or your senior can miss some scenarios. But if there's a peer review for a code, the case of missing some scenarios is reduced, right? This is called peer review. Now, try to automate, okay, involve your testers as early as you can. So if their testing is earlier, then what will happen? The impact on resolving those issues is very less. If tester found a bug once the product is developed already, then the resolving, then it will take a lot more time to resolve those bugs, right? You guys may already know those concepts. Okay, try to automate your test cases for any complex platform. Why this automation comes in this picture? Because for now we are actually, there is very time constraint for testing. Whenever we are writing our test cases manually, and if we want to execute our test cases manually, it is very time consuming process. So here is another option to execute or write test cases which is not required for any human being to run, right, to execute. Here automation comes in the picture. So before that, why rigorous testing is mandatory? We already know why testing is mandatory: to point out defects that may cause $1 million loss, to ensure what we create does what it's supposed to. That means that it should behave as expected to ensure the delivery of the best product and experience, to ensure that something works on every intended machine. Means if you are developing a particular application which is intended to run on Windows, on Unix and Linux, it should run on each and every machine equally. Okay. Madhvi is saying, is the session of basic of testing? Actually, is the session of both testing as well as automation. So once I cover this testing, I'm coming to the automation, because we are expecting both freshers and experienced. Okay, Madhvi? Okay, to ensure something works on very intended machine, to have effective performance or software application or product to stay in the business. I assume that you guys already know this concept. So I'm quickly moving to another slide for software testing, based for different software testing. The different ways are manual testing plus automated. Then we can create our software testing field, right? But it is not possible to automate your application 100%. Then there must be, we find a strategy how much percentage of our application should be manually tested and how much of percentage should be automated tested, right? Let's move forward quickly. Manual versus automation testing. Okay, before going forward, what's the difference between manual and automation testing? I am getting a feeling that you guys already know this concept. So I'm quickly jumping to the point of how Selenium will work, how can Selenium affect automation testing, right? So for this, let me ask you guys a question first. The question is, if I compare what are different parts of manual testing versus automation testing, I want you guys to write down what are different steps when you start testing an application. Let's suppose you have an application called X. You need to test this. What are different steps which you should follow to application this step? Starting from very beginning, then second, then next, and then next. So, any answer for this question? What step you guys follow? Navigate to X, requirement gathering. Gemini is saying first step is requirement gathering. That's correct. Vamsi is saying analyze the requirement. That's correct. Maheshwaran is saying functional testing, not functional testing. Prepare test cases. Gemini is correct. So as per Gemini, the first is requirement gathering. Okay. Then prepare test cases. Okay. Okay. And the third one is design test is already there. Third one, Vamsi is saying review. Fourth is execute. After preparing test cases, there is, okay, let me write execution. Execution is the third step. And environment setup, Rohit saying, yep, it's a prerequisite. And after execution, then report the bug. Okay, let's cover that reporting bug in this part, execution. And what's report? Here is what I am actually, is a Murli Krishan. Thanks, Murli. The fourth process is very important step is to reporting, because without reporting, as I'm saying, retesting, yes, without reporting, you can't ensure, you can't say your stakeholders that the testing is completed and is this build health is the build is ready to go for release or not. But before that, there is another process, there is another step as well, which is prepare test data. During preparing the test cases, there is also prepare test data. Test data can be your can be your text file, can be inside CSV, can be inside Excel, can be inside XML, can be inside database. You can take your test data from any one of these environment, right? Okay, this is the manual testing process. This process we already know. And let me come to automation. And we will find how to convert this manual process into automation. Here I am taking the example of Selenium only. Okay, and the language which I am going to use with the Selenium is Java. Okay, so can we automate requirement gathering process? Is it possible? Is it possible to automate requirement gathering? I know it's a silly question, but still, it's not possible. You can't. How can you automate a requirement gathering? So, if you are automating something, then you should first, the very first step. Yep. Thanks, Chetan. It's the very first step is to requirement gather again, right? If you are not manually testing a particular application, if you directly started with the automation, then very first step is to gather the requirement, to understand the requirement, to have a grip over the different requirements. Without having grip over the requirements, it's very hard to test the software either by manual or by automation, right? Okay. Second step, prepare test cases. So, is Selenium can be used to prepare test case? Can I have a quick answer from any one of you? Chetan is saying no, Selenium cannot be used. Any other answer? Can we use Selenium to prepare test cases? Rohit is asking a question when POC comes. POC is different when, like, suppose you are actually saying you got a particular project from a client, and the client is not sure that you guys are able to deliver the quality or not. Then what will happen? You prepare a POC and deliver the same POC to the client. Then it's nothing but a sample. So it's a different thing. The POC is just for get or capture the project. Okay, right? So Jamin is saying, are you able to get my answer, sir? I have to. Yep. Jamin, I am getting your answer. Thank you for that. But because after your answer, there are actually a lot more answers. So sometimes I skip one of your answer. Sorry for that. Okay. So I asked a question. Jamin is saying, yes, we can prepare test cases. Any other answer, guys? Can we prepare test cases by using Selenium tool? I got two answers. One is no from Chetan and one is yes. Murli is saying no, we can't prepare test cases by using Selenium, right? Because I have not introduced. It's okay, whatever answer you provide, it's okay. But I just want to know what you know previously about the Selenium, right? So the answer is no. We can't create test cases by using Selenium. So it leads me another question. What is Selenium, by the way? What do you guys think? What is Selenium, and what is more important question is what is done by the Selenium? Can I? Yes, Jamin, I will provide you a justification because I'm just a mid of that query. I've not completed yet. So before that, I actually have another question. What is Selenium? If someone say the answer of Selenium, then your query will be automatically answered. Though because Selenium we are creating automation scripts, okay, which is ultimately test cases. Okay, Chetan is saying functional testing of web application. Okay, exclusive for web application. Vamsi is saying any other. What is done by? Okay, let me rephrase my question. And this time, what is done by Selenium? Gemini is saying Selenium is process. Okay. Lavan is saying it's a framework used to automate an application. Okay. Lavan is somewhat true. Rahul is saying testing framework for web application. It's not a framework, Rahul. We need to create the framework. So what is done by Selenium? What is actually done by Selenium? Try to answer. Try to give the answer. I'm not expecting correct. So Mulligan is saying web-based functional testing. Okay. 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 Okay, guys. I always intend on the word we used because if we use simpler words, it will retain in our minds for the long time, right? If I give the answer of the Selenium, Selenium is just an API, just a code. It's not a tool. But it's true, it's used for functional testing, but it's not a tool. It's a simple API. I will cover what's API later. But what is done by Selenium? Selenium is just used to browse or to drive your browser. Selenium can only drive your browser. What I mean by driving the browser, I mean that let's suppose you want to write a test case for Google. Let's suppose you want to go for Google and search for Edureka, and then you click over the Edureka website. So Why? What different steps I followed? I opened the browser, right? What I have followed for manually. I opened the browser. I opened google.com. I tabbed over a field called Edureka, and then finally I have clicked over the Edureka link, right? If I want to do the same process automatically, I need a particular API or tool which should do these things automatically. But this is not testing. If I open Edureka, is my test case completed? Nope. Just opening is not testing, right? You should have a particular point where you should find difference between the expected or actual, right? Let's suppose I want to see this button is appearing or not. This is my endpoint of this test case. Sign up button is appearing. So to reach to this point, I need to follow all those steps. To open the browser, to click over these links, and then go to the Edureka and then assert that sign up is here or not, right? So the main functionality of your Selenium is nothing but to drive the browser. This is the main functionality. You're just driving your browser by using Selenium. You are not doing testing by Selenium. You are going to the point of interest, which is called POI. So you are actually going which point want to test by using Selenium. But this is not the entire automation. That's why Selenium cannot create test cases. Chethan is saying not POI means point of interest. POI also is a different API as well. Point of interest in a general meaning. Don't be confused with different POI. Let me erase this one. Okay, it's just a point of interest, a point of where you want to create the test. Madhvi is saying this can be done by automation tool. Yep, this can be done by any automation tool. You can drive your browser by using any automation tool. It doesn't mean that you are automating something. For automation, we need to follow all these 4 steps, right? So if I'm saying I'm doing automation testing by using Selenium, the very first step is still requirement gathering, then prepare test cases. Test cases is not prepared by using Selenium. It has been prepared by using JUnit or TestNG. It is another APIs, Java-based APIs, which are used to write test cases. These tools, SQTB, multiplication SQTB also drive browser. Yep, actually QTB have a lot more different options. It's a paid tool and heavily paid tool. It have lot more options apart from driving browser. Okay, so QTB is also QTB is not only driving the browser, it have different inbuilt functionalities which is used to write test cases and other stuff as well. Okay, Murli. So second step is to prepare test cases. We can prepare the test cases is not prepared by Selenium. It is actually prepared by JUnit or TestNG API. Okay. Third step, or not 2.2 first step, which is preparing test data. That for preparing the test data, we need to use different other APIs as well. Like for preparing test data from text file, we have Java internal library for CSV as well. If you want to prepare your test data from text or CSV, you have Java internal library. For preparing your text for test data from Excel, you have to use Apache POI API or JXL. JXL is something like this. Okay. What are the gather requirements? Pone is saying what we gather requirements in automation. We simply gather requirements same as of manual testing, but in here we are not writing test cases. These steps are different, but requirement gathering for both manual and automation is same. Okay, so JXL, and if you want to prepare your test data from XML, you have Java XML API. For if you want to prepare your test data from database, you have what? JDBC, right? These different APIs is combined with JUnit to create the test data, but still your Selenium doesn't came into the picture yet. Okay, now the third step is execution. Here we use Selenium. We combine Selenium API with above to execute test cases. TestNG is another API which is used to create test cases. It is test next generation, similar to the JUnit. So we write test cases either on JUnit or TestNG. Then we use different this tool to get the test data. And once we have the test data, we provide test data into the script. Okay, Selenium script. Once your execution is completed by using Selenium, finally you create reports by using report ng, or you use XSLT reports. Finally, these reports can be mailed to your project stakeholder, and Jamin is saying, thanks, I got my answer that we cannot create test cases through Selenium. Thank you, Jamin. So then we combine these things. Reports is generated, and we send these reports to our project stakeholders, right? And then if we combine all these tools and APIs, we are actually creating a framework. This is called framework. So what a framework provides? A framework provides a simple platform to create or write the test cases. Okay, this is actually difference between your manual testing part and your automation testing part. If you are doing these things, you are actually doing the automation stuff. Murli Krishnan is saying, give me example of XSLT reports. If I provide you example of XSLT reports, XSLT reports is look like this kind of thing, a pie chart report kind of thing. This is very simpler and very impressive reports if generated by XSLT API. Okay, multiplication. Okay, guys. So this is the way of creating. This is the way of automation testing. If you are using any automation tool apart from Selenium or any other tool like QTP or Renorex or any other tool, if the tool is not providing all these things, then either you need to use other tools which needs to combine with that tool, or you need to ask for the different support, because the tool can be a paid or can be open source. Okay, the Selenium is an open source tool. Rohit is saying, I'm just still confused in second and third step. As during scripting, we use Selenium library to create driver and object. So Selenium also comes into picture in second. In second step is actually we haven't used Selenium here. Yeah, that's true. We can combine this Selenium in the second as well, because when we prepare the test cases, we call Selenium API as well. That's why it's combined thing, right? Also, this if you say same thing, then we can combine reporting as well. All these work together. It's not different steps. If you are writing a particular test case, in a single test case, we need to use all these things in all practical test steps. Okay, what is the parameterization using XML? Murli Krishnan is saying, what is the Rohit? Okay, thanks, Rohit. But Murli Krishnan is asking, what is the parameterization using XML and data provider in Selenium? See, Selenium doesn't provide parameterization. Parameterization is provided by JUnit or TestNG, in which parameterization what we do, we repeat or execute the same test case for any number of parameters. For example, I want to log in Gmail by using 1,000 different email IDs and passwords. I have two options. First option, I write 1,000 different test cases, which is not possible. And the second option is parameterization. I write email IDs or password in an XML, separate XML or Excel, and then I call that XML sheet during execution. And what TestNG or JUnit will do, it will call each line. It will execute your test case for each and every username and password. That's called parameterization. Okay. And for using those username and password, we use Selenium. So all these steps works together. This is called framework. And a framework can be data driven. Your framework approach can be data driven, can be keyword driven, and can be hybrid. Okay, but nowadays the actual framework which is currently using by with Selenium is page object modeling POM framework. Okay, this is called POM. So we covers all those frameworks in our course. We cover data driven, keyword driven, hybrid, as well as POM. Nirav is saying hello, hello Nirav. What is I-text context? Multiplication is saying I-text context is actually a interface inside the TestNG multiplication, and it's a deep kind of concept. We will cover it later because in a 1 hour window it's very hard to cover this kind of deep concepts. Okay, I'll cover it later. Nirav is saying, I wanted to ask whether JUnit TestNG will be easy to use. Both are exactly, Nirav, almost same, and you need to stay for a particular tool, for a particular API. It's not one is superior, another is inferior. JUnit is very old, and most of the developers rely on the JUnit. But someone is saying that, uh, but if you start working on the test engine, like it provides some more annotation as because it actually provides more features as compared to the JUnit. Multiplication is saying I want this session as video. Yes, you will get this session as a video. Okay, and you will get each and every session whatever in the class as a video. Pankaj is saying, do we have any mechanism for recording our test in Selenium because at time client wants the test proof? Okay, this can be done perfecto mobile for test recording on mobile device. So Pankaj, actually recording our test is not possible in Selenium, but we can record as a proof. We can record or we can capture screenshot as a proof. Selenium provides a very important method, very simple method to capture screenshot for each and every test case. So that can be provided as a proof. Okay. Okay, guys. So I need to cover that PPT as well because it's my duty to cover this PPT theory given by Edureka. So we already know the difference between manual and versus automation. Anyone can for what are different pros and cons for manual and automation. Anyone can test by manual. Is just ways to improve the quality? Yeah, it's easy. Great for people who may not have formal testing experience. That's what the question was. Someone have asked what the minimum requirement. No requirement for manual testing. Focused on the customer's workflow because we always focus on the customer part, customer requirements. Automated testing, faster test cycles, able to identify more defects in shorter time frame, save companies money after third time. After third time the test case are run. Easy on focus on all possible workflows, high quality product over manual. To summarize these things, there are some pros for manual testing and there are some pros for automated testing as well. But it doesn't mean automation testing can replace manual. It's always, we always create how much percentage, how many percentage of application can be automated and how much percentage of application can be manually tested. Okay. Nirav is saying, will you emailing the link for the videos? Yes, that's for sure. And Edureka support will email you the link for this email, okay, for this video as well. Okay, as well as this PPT as well. Okay, guys. So second is which test to automate and which is not. This is very important. We cannot automate everything. For there must be some criteria which part of the application must be tested and which application must not be tested automatically. The test cases can be automated which have the following criteria. What are different criteria? High risk, business critical test cases. These test cases must be repeated for each and every time whenever you change your API. So the high risk scenario must be automated. Test cases are executed repeatedly. The test cases which are repeating again and again for each and every iteration. So for that time, we require the test cases must be automated to save the time span. Okay, the test cases that are very tedious or difficult to perform manually. Tedious may means a test case which are very which takes a lot more step to execute. Okay, for that type of scenario, it should be automated. Test case which are time consuming. Again, those which are consuming a lot more time should be automated. The following category of test case should not suitable for automation. Test cases which are newly designed and not executed manually at least once. So whenever you design a test case, you should manually test at once so that we get the overall picture what's the expected behavior. Test cases for which requirements are changing frequently. Let's suppose you have written scripted for a particular test case and in the evening and in the morning the requirement have been changed and then you need to change your script again, right? For those kind of test cases, for those kind of scenarios which are changing frequently, we should not go for automation, we should go for manual testing. Okay, test cases which are executed on ad hoc basis. Isn't any particular, Nirav is saying, particular framework to work on Selenium? Yes, there are a lot more frameworks to work on Selenium. You need to create your own framework, but the model of the framework can be data-driven, keyword-driven, hybrid, or page object modeling. These are the models. Here we come at silent features of Selenium. First one, it's a open source. So what you guys mean about open source? What is open source softwares? What do you mean by open source softwares? Can I have some questions, some answers? Sorry. What do you think? What are open source? Open source means free. Neerav is saying that's correct. Any other answer, guys? Murli Krishnan is saying free, which freely available. Priya is saying freely available. Okay. Murli Krishnan is saying API. Pravan is saying no need to buy the software. Rahul is saying developed for non-profit. Okay, Rahul. Free and customizable. Rohit is saying free and customizable. Okay, source code is available for free. That's the answer I am looking for. When I say open source, it doesn't mean a software is only free. See, if I say a software is free, it's not necessary that software is open source. Open source and free software are two different things. If a software is open source, it means the source code for that software is open and you can change the source code. You can download the source code, you can view the source code, and you can change the source code. But if a software is free and it's not open source, it means you don't have privilege, you don't have credentials to change the source code. The company who have produced is still have the authority to change that software, right? So if in the next anytime if you see the open source, it means the source code is free and also can be customizable as per your need. Okay, Pankaj saying open software is a software in which source code used to create the program freely available to the public, view, edit, and distribute. Free distributor. Pankaj, is that your answer is not copied from internet? Is that true? Okay, that's a joke. Okay, so whenever you see open source software, it means the source code is open. Okay, so Selenium is open source and also free and no extra cost for finding bugs. If you go for other tools like UTP and Renorex, they are very highly paid software, licensed software. You need to pay 5 or 7 lakh for 1 year of license, right? So there is no extra cost for using the Selenium. Lightweight, it's less than 100 MB, so you can download and can run on any machine. But if you start with compare with the QTP, it's more than 1 GB software QTP, and you need a very good machine to run that. Okay. Pankaj is saying what is the difference between QTP RFT versus Selenium? It's a lot more difference, Pankaj. QTP RFT, Selenium, QTP RFT can automate your desktop application as well, but the Selenium cannot automate any desktop application. It's for web only. It's the major difference. Okay, apart from there is lot more difference in these softwares. Okay, Selenium supports multiple language. Like if you don't know Java, you know C#, you can work on the Selenium. You know Python, you can work on the Selenium. You know Perl, you can work on the Selenium. Right? It supports a lot more browsers. It supports Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, IE, Safari, Android as well. So all major browsers are supported by Selenium. OS support, it supports all major OS like Linux, Windows, iOS. So if you are writing your script on Windows, it should be run on Linux, on Mac as well. Yep, Nirav, it supports Mac. Easy bug reporting, wide ecosystem support, develop script once run on the same on the multiple browser, special handling of Ajax control. Their Ajax element are different. Selenium provide special handling of different Ajax control as well. Parallel script execution. By this way, you can execute your script parallelly, right? Means you don't have to create, you don't need to run your all script sequentially. You can run same script on multiple browser on the same machine at the same time. This is called parallel execution. Ecosystem means different language plus OS plus environment plus your browser or These all combine to provide ecosystem. Okay, it's about wide ecosystem. Parallel script use multi-threading. Multi-threading is different. Neerav, multi-threading means you are doing the same thing parallelly. That's correct. But here the parallel means you want to run your script on Mozilla, on your Firefox, on all those different browser as well as environment. That's called parallel scripting. Okay, yes, but it's true. It's require multi-threading. Okay, guys. So here, Selenium, silent feature, real event in the browser. Whatever we use with the Selenium, it's a real event like mouse click, button click, whatever we do manually, we can do by using Selenium. Drives a specific set of commands and check status. Drive specific set of commands, it means we can call it specific set of methods and check the status to see if the user is logged in, if the book goes into the shopping cart. This kind of status we can check. Report with the number of assertions. We have assertions. We means a kind of method which check which is the difference, which check actually difference between the actual and the reference expected. Sorry, web developer will kick out a report which with the number of assertions, then one passing and failing, and where the error occurs. Automate your action in a web browser. Automate your action in web browser, same as the automated script that you can replay at later time. You can save your script and can run any machine, any environment. Okay, so this is about Selenium. This is about how we can use and how a multi-million-dollar bugs can be introduced in your machine, can be introduced in your application, and what are different way to avoid those kind of bugs, and how Selenium we can use Selenium, and what is actually overall way of using that Selenium. Okay, I just want to show you a very practical example to how to use and download and use Selenium or bit Selenium script in by your machine. So if you want to learn anything about Selenium, then you should go for this website, which is called seleniumhq.org, which is nothing but actual official website of Selenium. Just go to download and click on this download button. You will download the Selenium API. Once you download the Selenium API, you should go for your Eclipse, go to the file, new. If you don't know this Eclipse and all those things, then no worries. We have some Java basic concepts before starting the course, right? Go to your Java project, create any project. I am creating demo, okay? And now I need to include the API which have I already downloaded. So right click on your project, go to the build path and configure build path, and select the files which you want to, which you have already downloaded. I have downloaded my file as Selenium, this one, and then go to this folder and download these jar files, download libraries as well. Once you include those files in your project, then you are good to go. You can use this tool, okay? Then create a class. Let me create, this is my test class, my demo class, let's suppose. And in order to execute a particular statement, I am using main method. I'm not creating a test case. And I want to show you that how can I open a browser and fill something over the browser, okay? SLM 2.47 latest jar, 2.47 point something is the latest, 2.47.1 is the latest. This is the latest one. Okay. Okay. So how to open a particular browser? Open browser. How to open? Just you need to instantiate WebDriver. You need to instantiate Firefox driver. I want to open the Firefox, so I'm writing new Firefox driver. Let's be relaxed. If you don't know these things, it is just for demo. It's not the technical part. Okay, I have imported. It will open the browser. So what will happen if I run this script as only I'm running this script? What will happen? It will open my Firefox browser. Where is browser? It will take some time to open. Depending on your machine, see, a browser have been opened, but I haven't opened any URL. So my next step is to, okay, Neerav is saying, when we start with Selenium, is it necessary to have a depth knowledge of Java or only the basic? Only basic is required, Neerav. You don't have to be guru, Java guru for working on the Selenium. It's very easy. Only if you know only basic concept, then it's more than enough for Selenium. Okay, so this is about opening the browser, and now I'm opening website. So for opening the website, we have method driver.get. Here I am passing and the complete URL of website. Okay, www.facebook.com. I'm opening the Facebook website. Okay, so what will happen if I run this command? I'm running this command. It will open the browser and it will open this website. See how easy it is. And now the script stopped. Okay. Third step is I want to provide username and password. So provide username. It's a comment. So for providing username, I need entity. I need what I need. I need a path of that field. So for this, we have this kind of tool. I'll explain this later. Just see what I'm doing. I want to write first name. For this, I want to write this username, email. I have ID, email. I'm copying this, and I am driver dot find element by ID. I'm copying ID, and I am sending my username at the rate live.com, any dummy ID. Okay, this will this will put this name, whatever I pass here, to the field. Okay, let me show you. This line will open the browser. This line will open the Facebook. This statement will write this string into the field. Okay, let me show you what will happen. Browser open, Facebook have been open, and now it have written my username at live.com over the desired field. So whatever the steps we are doing manually is actually we are writing in the form of codes. So it's not very much difficult. It's very simple thing. Okay. Similarly, I want to provide password as well. Okay. So for this, first I need to identifier of this password field. This is nothing but the pass. So driver dot find element by dot id, and here it is pass. Okay, now I am sending this thing, send keys as my password. This is dummy passwords and username. Now after this, I want to click over the login button, and it will show you're not authenticated or something kind of application, and this is the id is your login button. Okay, so provide password and click on login button. So driver.find element by ID, and here is this is the login button, and I want to click over that. Okay, for this we have method click. Simple. Got a question? When I tried to same code, I got the Firefox has stopped working. May I know why? The code is exactly as yours. It may be possible that your Firefox version is it can be a multiple reason. It may be possible that your Firefox version is older, right? Or you have not downloaded the right jar file, Selenium jar file. Okay. Pankaj is saying our framework development background working in VB, and I am planning to move to the test automation. What is the good option for me, Qtp or Selenium? To be honest, I have seen what is the trend in the current industry that the companies, at least all mid-level companies and small-level companies, are migrating from the Qtp to Selenium because they don't have to provide license for the tool, right? So what is my advice, that if you already know the QTP and if you learn Selenium, then you have both the options. So you can switch anytime. If the company doesn't always stick to a particular tool, if there's an option for the QTP, you can go for QTP. If you have option for the Selenium, you can go for the Selenium. So you will be asset for your company. So if you have both the option, then you should go for both, because the current industry is changing. If you go for the Naukri.com, you will see a lot more job opportunities for Selenium, and there is less job opportunities for QTP. This shows the trend of moving, right? Okay, guys. So let me run this script, and it will show you. It will open the browser. It will open the Facebook. Click provide the username and password, and click on the login button. Let me show you what will happen once I run this script. Facebook is open, username and password is printed, and it have clicked over login button and it's showing your please re-enter your password because it's mismatched. Okay, so if you see this, how it's easy to automate a particular application, right? Just know what step you need to follow, which is nothing but the requirement gathering. If you write your, if you know your manual test case well, then you can automate it very easily. Can you please write script for mouse hover actions? Yes, we can do, which is done by action class Tejasri, but I think this is very a bit high, more concepts which should not be provided on this demo session. I'll provide you later on because we are covering all these concepts, deep concepts, but before that you should learn a lot more things, something about Java, something about object orientation concepts, and mouse hovering and these waiting things can be covered later. Okay, Tejasri? Neerav is saying if we are working on agile methodology, can we start writing, making our test cases at which stage of testing? If you are working on agile methodology, then automation is must because in all the agile, automation is always needed. Tejasri is saying, okay, thank you. Just curious as my app is a lot more mouse hovering. Yep, mouse hovering action is very easy, but it's a bit little more advanced concept, which I don't want to confuse guys at the very first class. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is about introduction of Selenium and automation. Okay. So we already extended 15 minutes. So this other 5 or 10 minutes for queries. Okay, I got more queries. How to avoid flickering while selecting links while using Selenium? What do you mean by flickering, Rahul? And the query, Pankaj, in interview, generally it is asked that what are challenges you faced while using Selenium and how to found a solution for the same. This is actually a practical example. This is actually they want to test you that you have actually worked on your application or not. Or you are just saying that you know the Selenium and you haven't worked. I was in the recruitment team for more than 3 years. This is our favorite questions because by this question we can analyze that the person have really worked on the application or not. So for this, what's the answer for this question? You have to work on one application, and during the work definitely you will find a lot more challenges. Once you resolve that challenges, then you are ready for this question. Okay, 32 slide is not completed. Okay. Here it is. Slides are. Let me complete all slides. Can we avoid bug completely? Can we eliminate every chances $1 million bug by following best practice? No, one is perfect. No matter what we do, we are going to produce code that has bugs in it from time to time. It's not possible to remove 100% bugs from your application. That's true. But still, we will try to eliminate as much as we can. Okay. If 100% is not feasible, 90% is feasible, and 5% is feasible depending on how complex your application is. Okay, after this we have hands-on. I have already shown you hands-on experience over that, how to open the browser, how to go to different elements, how to click over the element. It's a simple, very simple introduction, right? And then we are on the question, right? This is 30th slide. And then after this, there will be a survey. Once you close this webinar, there will be a survey. Please provide your feedback, how you require this, how you like the instructor or the content, how I explained you. Okay, please provide a survey as well. And this is the end of the slide. So it's still the question time. Which language will be better for the Selenium? To be honest, Java is better. Why is better? Because Selenium is itself written in Java, in the code Java itself. So if you know the Java, and whenever they release a new version in the Java, you can use that version immediately, right? So in my opinion, Java is much better than C# or Python, but still if you know the Python, you don't need to first learn the entire Java concept and then switch back, but still you just need a very little concept. If you know the Python, I don't think you require a lot more time to learn Java. Okay, so Nirav is saying when will be your next seminar, webinar? Nirav, for this you need to contact to Edureka support. They will arrange next webinar and notify you. Okay. Murli Krishnan is saying it's excellent, but time is less. That's correct, Murli, because it's just a demo session, and I still feel the same because I covered a lot more theory, and actually theory is boring. We need to cover a lot more practical, and I'll suggest the same thing to the Edureka support. Nirav is saying which framework is best for beginner. It's not beginning because in practically working, the company will provide you framework. You are not going to write your own because the framework is a very important part. So whatever framework they provide, you have to work over this. So this is not good or better options, but on the layman language, framework which is better is POM. Okay. Lavanya is saying thank you so much. The session is very useful. Thank you, Lavanya. And Lavanya. And Pankaj is saying, what is the industry trend? Selenium with Python, C Sharp. Selenium industry trend is Selenium with C Sharp and Java. Python is easy, that's correct. Python is easy for Java, but once you learn the Java, you have a lot more opportunities open along with Selenium. Waiting more webinars in the Selenium. Thanks, Lavanya. Jamini is saying, how can we need to start with the Selenium or WebDriver ID? How we need to getting started with the Selenium from WebDriver ID? We should start with the WebDriver ID is useless, to be honest. Multiplication is saying, is it necessary to know all Selenium WebDriver API? No, it's not necessary. You start with some very basic and continuously increase your knowledge. It's all about, it's all depends on how much practice you are doing, Jamin. What is the best practice? Best practice is to WebDriver. Nirav is saying it's really helpful. Thanks, Nirav. Maheshwar is saying thank you, helpful. And Nirav is saying this will be paid training or free training throughout, or and it will cover advanced concepts. Nirav, actually it's a paid training. That web demo session is actually free, but it's a paid training. Charge, you can go through the Edureka and you can find the charge. Yeah. What is the difference between WebDriver and ID? ID is a Pankaj, ID is nothing but a tool which can record. Okay, but the Selenium Git is advanced concept, Manju. And thanks, Rohit. Thanks, Jamin. Thanks, Tejasvi. Thanks, Rahul. The duration is 3 hours per day. Like for Friday, for Saturday, we conduct classes on Saturday and Sunday because all you are working professionals. So for Saturday it's 3 hours and Sunday it's 3 hours. Okay, and I'll taking off your classes if I'm assigned as your instructor. Thanks, Murli Krishnan. Thanks all. How many months? Nirav is saying it's for 5 consecutive weekends. Okay. Thanks, Nirav. So this is the end of this session, guys. Still, you have any other query? You can provide. You have the Edureka support numbers, and you just fire your question to Edureka support, and then I'm going to resolve that. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for joining the session. Please provide your feedback as well because it's very necessary for the instructor as well. Okay, guys. Thank you. Keep learning. Keep smiling as well. Thank you. I'm ending this class. Have a nice day, Rohit.